This is Pivot Perspectives with Chris O'Byrne, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they've learned on their road to success, and get exclusive access on how to implement their success into your life and business. Pivot Perspectives is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Chris O'Byrne.
All right, Michael, thank you so much for coming on today. I have some fun questions I'm looking forward to asking you. So,
awesome.
First of all, how are you doing? How's life in Washougal, Washington?
I'm doing great. Life out here is fantastic. We're kind of wrapping up our long Memorial Day weekend. Today had family out, did the barbecue thing, and just life is good, man. I'm living the dream.
Nice. And you're in a off-grid home, right? That you built yourself?
That's correct. Yeah. We bought and built during COVID, and we've got about 30 acres in the Washington State Cascades that are all completely off of grid. It's our little slice of paradise.
Oh man, living the dream for sure. So my first question for you is, looking back on your childhood, what was something that happened to you, a story that you can tell us that you think was instrumental to developing into the person that you are today?
Yeah. We were kind of talking a little bit before we hit record, and I was thinking which one to talk about, right? Because there's so many, and childhood is so instrumental in everything that we become as adults. And I'm struggling to hone in on one single story, but I will say this: I did grow up playing hockey as a kid, and I think that was definitely instrumental in kind of turning me into the man that I am today. I think that I got a lot of lessons out of that, about grit, about working hard, about teamwork, playing well with others. Certainly fueled my competitive nature, or maybe my competitive nature fueled the hockey. I don't know which one. I don't know which direction that went. But I think, and in general, not just hockey, but just team sports in general, I think are so critical to business, right? And that's why we're here. That's why you and I are chatting today. And I think team sports are very important for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I grew up in a situation where we didn't play sports. It just wasn't a thing we did, and we weren't able to attend after school events or anything. So I didn't really understand the importance of team sports until I got older. I went in the military. But you know what? It was when I started meeting other successful business people, and this theme has come up over and over, of people who were involved in team sports and learned so much from that that affected their business. So then what inspired you to start your business, and how did you go from idea to reality, and even how did that time?
Yeah. I come from a technical background. I started working at Intel when I was 19 years old or so as a software engineer, and that kind of turned into and blossomed a successful career in computer virus research. And I was doing that for 10 years or so before I think I just got burnt out. The corporate culture, working in a cubicle, that sort of thing. And so I quit that job, and I was a musician for a few years. I became a professional musician for a few years, and doing that is what really kind of fueled my love for marketing. You're promoting your own events, you're selling CDs, you're hustling, and that kind of is really what turned me into a marketer, quote unquote. Right? Doing consulting for that, ended up being quite good at it. Got some really fantastic clients like Intel, Johnson & Johnson, the Golden Globes. And then at some point after I had been doing consulting for a number of years, I realized what I think a lot of entrepreneurs that start out as solopreneurs realize, which is that you're trading hours for dollars. And that was about the time that I was like, what can I do to duplicate myself? What can I do to scale this business? What can I do to scale what I'm doing to help more people? And essentially to grow. And so that's when I started Boxer Media and Growth Marketing, which is the agency that I run now. We've been going strong for about 3 years. And it's, it continues to grow and continues to develop. And the inspiration was just trying to best to maximize my time.
So what kind of music and what did you play?
You might guess that I played some guitar.
Yep.
Honestly, so I play a little bit of everything. I don't play any one instrument very, very well. I guess my skill set, you might say, is kind of as the producer. I hear things in my head and I want things to sound a certain way. So that's kind of what I was good at. The type of music is, rock and roll, kind of electronic sometimes, stuff like that.
And did you play, have you always lived in the Portland area? Is that where you played and worked at
I'm
Intel?
Oregon born and raised. I was raised on a grass seed farm, a 700-acre grass seed farm down in Independence, Oregon. So I was a farm boy growing up, and then Portland in 1999. Well, technically Beaverton, Aloha, right? Because Hillsboro's out there. But Portland area in 99, and lived in Portland for a long time. Yeah.
So then going back even further, is there anything from your time at Intel, computer virus research, any of that transferred over to what you're doing today as far as skills or awareness?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, everything that, I think as an entrepreneur, it's your job to be a generalist a little bit, and to have a broad understanding, a mile wide and an inch deep, or maybe a mile wide and 1 foot deep, but not necessarily an inch wide and a mile deep, right? So just certainly having an understanding of how things work under the hood, or beneath the sheets, pick your metaphor. Having a general understanding of how things work certainly serves me in, making those kind of top-down decisions about the best ways to do things for our clients. Most of what we do, incidentally, is digital marketing, right? So there's a lot of technology involved.
Yeah, it all transfers over in some way.
Yeah.
So who are some key influences or mentors who have really played a significant role in your journey?
Oh, God, I love this, man. There's so many. So from my hockey coach growing up, to a man by the name of Tim Justice, who was a professional stock trader and taught me how to invest and do swing trading. It taught me the value of my time and just kind of the value of myself, I think. I met Tim when I was 34 years old, and I was headed down. 34 years old. I had been heading down a not super healthy path. Drinking a lot. I was bartending at the time, playing at rock and roll clubs, and just kind of, not living a sustainable life. I'll put it that way. And so meeting Tim changed my life completely. Flipped everything upside down. He introduced me to Napoleon Hill.
Oh yeah.
And this is the first book that I read, where it occurred to me that there more is possible. Certainly more than, I was capable of more than I was doing. So yeah, and then there's been a few others. But Tim Justice, I think, is the one that I'll kind of credit with really helping me turn my life around.
So what are some ways that he did that? I mean, trading valuable information, but it sounds like there was much more going on.
There was, man. I mean, it was so it was a situation. He had his own company, and he also toured around the lower 48 teaching for Rich Dad. So incidentally, he worked for Kiyosaki's company, and so he was part of the trading and investing arm of Rich Dad Legacy Investments. I had signed up for, a little weekend thing on a whim, the first day, and then they sell you on the upgrade, on the upsell. I ended up taking the upsell, and it was one of the best things I ever did.
So kind of what sort of things did he cover in that the upsold part of it?
Yeah, I mean, most of that was, so those are tricky, as you might suspect, right? Because people are paying $1,000 for a little weekend workshop. And mostly the type of people that are signing up for those are not, for the most part, are not these personal and professional development obsessed type of people, which I might consider myself today. But a lot of times, right, people who sign up for these, especially the Rich Dad weekend shops, it's kind of it's maybe the first of that kind of thing that they've done before. So you really want to deliver a lot of stuff because people feel like they're getting value if they're getting tactics. But he also had, but what was really important and what he did is he would slip in every once in a while some mindset stuff, right? Nobody who is not already into personal development wants to spend $1,000 on a weekend workshop on mindset. They don't understand the value of that. Am I right?
Right. Totally.
Totally right. Yeah. So he definitely had to do tactical stuff, but he would slip in some mindset stuff in there too. And it was, it was the way he was talking. It was the way that he was teaching this stuff. And it was the way in which he composed himself, in that I don't know what it was, Holiday Inn, whatever hotel by the airport where we went, and they did the workshop. I just connected with him. I felt like I could trust him, and so I talked to him afterwards, and he and I stayed in touch. And he ended up offering me, essentially a job, and that was kind of my first. Like real marketing gig.
Okay. Now, how long ago was this?
This was, how long ago was this? This was over 10 years ago now, because I've been doing this for more than 10 years now. This was a minute ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So then, Boxer Media.
Yeah.
What makes Boxer Media unique and valuable? What is it about Boxer Media?
Sure. There's a few things that I think apart from the crowds. Number one, we work with coaches, consultants, and thought leaders. These are areas that we know very, very, very well. We have 2 podcasts, both of which are interview podcasts with coaches, consultants, and thought leaders. Between the 5 of us that work full-time in the company, we probably speak to 24 coaches and consultants every week. We know the space incredibly well. We know the pain points of our clientele very, very well. And we understand what coaches, consultants, and thought leaders need to succeed. Our flagship program, if you will, we call it Social Omnipresence. And what we do, so one of the things that we understand is that, especially, we'll use coaches as an example. Coaching, or if you're a thought leader and you're writing a book, you want to coach, you want to write your book, you want to do keynote speeches. You don't want to spend all of your time, for example, on social media promoting what you do, commenting on other people's threads, marketing your business. You want to spend your time as effectively as possible, affecting as many people as possible, which is why you do what you do. So what we're able to do is come in, we take about 15 minutes of our clients' time per week, and we are able to have them be completely present on social media, on all social platforms, and we call it social omnipresence. So we basically handle social media marketing for our clients and take that almost entirely off of their plate. Again, they're able to be totally present in social media 15 minutes a week.
Oh, wow. That is pretty fast.
Yeah.
So, how many, well, what is it like to work with you? That's kind of the question I ask when I'm working with somebody new. It's what is that experience like? I know what you do and how it benefits me.
Yep.
But yeah, you get it.
Yeah, no, I do. I think that's super important, and especially for given our clientele, it's very, very important because we're not dealing with bigger businesses. We're dealing very frequently with solopreneurs. And honestly, like what we deliver is a fun, professional family experience. So we have had coaches that have worked with us for going on 5 years now. And I only started the company 3 years ago.
Oh,
we
my
merged with another company that was doing something similar when we started. So that explains that kind of that difference there. But yeah, our team is very focused on what we do. Professional in execution, but very friendly and kind of family oriented in terms of how it feels to work with us. Everyone on my team, everyone has a great sense of humor. We laugh a lot. We joke around. We have fun. And what we really enjoy about what we do is that I think with marketing, it's quite difficult to wake up in the morning and be really excited to go out and do marketing. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm for those listening to this or reading this, I say do marketing in little bunny quotes. But what we are able to do is everyone on the team, and I try to make sure that everyone on the team understands the second and the third order effect of what we do, because our clientele is because of what they're doing, writing books, coaching C-suite leadership in large companies. We are affecting change on a greater scale by drawing and attracting more clients to our clients. So whatever good our clients are doing out there in the world, we're a part of that because we helped promote that. We helped get them the work that pays their bills and that allows them to stand, in front of 3,000 people at a keynote speech over a weekend and talk about all the great things they do, about how they do it, and about who they do it with.
That I totally get. Once, and I wanted to figure out how many people do I affect with the work that I do. It's like, okay, well, 12,000 plus authors. And I'm like, wait a second. Every single one of those authors, their book is reaching how many thousands of people?
Yeah,
how many lives are being changed?
Mm-hmm.
Humbling.
That's the second and the third order effect that I was talking about. And you have to take that into consideration when you're doing when what you are actively touching is not, like I said, just waking up in the morning and getting really excited to quote do marketing is not really a realistic motivation. So we have to think about the second and the third order effects of what we do and how that is affecting the world in a greater way. One of the running jokes on my podcast, and it's called the Remarkable Coach Podcast, is that every executive coach's dirty little secret is that they are a life coach. I think that's hilarious, right? But it's also true. So it's not just these companies that they're affecting. It's also the families of the people that they work with, right? So you're talking about, teaching someone. If you're teaching someone how to balance work and life, especially a busy executive, and they make it to their son's baseball game, and that, you know, was maybe a pivotal moment for their son. That's like generational change that you're potentially affecting there. And so thinking about it in that sense, right? Thinking about it in that sense, it is exciting work.
Man, do I get that. So looking back on your entrepreneurial journey, what would you say has been one of the most valuable lessons that you've learned?
Most valuable that I've learned. I'm gonna flip. Can I flip that question around? What about you? What's the most valuable lesson that you've learned? Maybe your answer would inspire me.
Well, you know, for me, I tried to be the lone wolf for so long. I just, you know, I'm kind of a mix between introvert and extrovert. I really like my peace, my quiet, my space, and I just wanted to do my thing and be good at it and not have to create all these other relationships. And, you know, because it feels fake so many times, and you're just like, oh, I need to go networking, and I do that. Yeah. But it finally dawned on me, well, it's probably been several years ago now, that it's about way more than that. You need to make connections with people. I needed to make connections, real connections with people for business, but I could learn from them. I could help them. They could help me. There was so much more involved in creating real connections that I never even dreamed about. And of course, my business went, you know, kind of skyrocketed after that as well. But that wasn't even why I was doing it. I just knew I needed a community of my own creation. So for me, that's probably the biggest lesson.
I love that. Okay, so I'll take that and kind of reframe it a little bit for me, because I think that's a great one. And for me, I think you could say one of the biggest lessons that I've taken away from my entrepreneurship journey is that, and as of course I'm a marketer, right? So I should have known this from day one. But the cobbler's children have no shoes.
Yes.
It's that everything should be done in service. That's what I'll say. And that's my biggest lesson. Everything you do should be done in service. And if you're making decisions out of desperation, out of a greed, out of a want for growth, and nothing beyond that, I think you're going to have a more difficult time than if you were to focus on service. Front loading with value, how you can help people.
I like that. Yeah, because if it's just about the money, then you know, go rob a bank, for crying out loud. There are faster ways.
They're faster. There are much faster ways.
But that's not what brings the enriched life.
Yeah.
You know, it's we all want worth living.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think, and like I said, that should be obvious to anybody starting a business from day zero, and it's almost something that's so obvious that I think it can be easy to forget, especially in the day to day. You know, as you're thinking about your business, making business decisions, you know, as you're onboarding new clients and other clients are churning and leaving. You know, there's a rush of day-to-day activity, and it's easy to forget, like, how can I help this person? Instead of getting them through onboarding, right? How can we help them? How can we help them through onboarding? You know, and if someone has to, you know, if someone has to break up with you, and they're like, you know, I think we're done with this service. Well, how can you help them? As even in an exit scenario, right, where you've got a client leaving, how can you help them? How can you refer them to someone else, so that 6 months down the road, when they realize, or they're in a position where they need your services again, even when they left, you were so helpful, they want to come back to you in 6 months, right?
Yeah, they never forget it.
Yeah. It took me years to figure that out, honestly.
And sadly, it took me a long time as well. I get it.
Yeah.
So, as we part, what is the best way for people to learn more about you?
Yeah. Boxer.agency is the website. There's no .com. It's just boxer.agency. Type that into your little URL bar and it should take you right there. They can find me directly on LinkedIn. My email address is michael@boxer.agency, or you can write hello@boxer.agency. That will come to me as well.
Awesome.
That's pretty much it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. This was a great conversation.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate your time.
You bet. You take care.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Pivot Perspectives with your host, Chris O'Byrne. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advice on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.